I
It's a
actually
fun
read
one.
this last night. I was while I was waiting for my daughter at her personal training, I'm sitting in the car with like a book light, and I'm sitting in the car just waiting for, and people are walking by looking at me, but I didn't care. I'm like reading my book, I'm highlighting.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome.
It was a good chapter.
Yeah, no.
And I read that chapter before that you don't want to touch, Kevin.
What's that? Oh, you did. Yeah, I've read it a few times. It's, but yeah, I don't think that's a good idea to go down that path.
Yeah, anyway. It gets misinterpreted a lot.
Yeah. So let me do this. Let me share the screen. We'll run through the. Let's see. I gotta make sure I do this right because I always mess this up.
Matthew, I have to tell you, I tried last night when I did my presentation with the women's group I'm part of, and that F5 or whatever thing, it didn't work.
Okay, yeah, just there should be a button at the top that you can just press play presentation or something like that.
I'll have to, anyway, they manage, but.
Yeah.
All right, so why don't we get started here because it is 7 minutes afterwards. And, you know, I prepared this. There are 2 videos that I'm going to show, but they're relatively short. So I don't know if we'll run out of time. We probably won't because there's only 3 of us right now.
Okay.
But why don't we go Vicky, Matthew, and then Kevin, and let's get started. You can see the screen, right?
Yep.
Awesome. Cool.
So mastermind principles. The purpose of the mastermind is to learn leadership, build teams, and create multiple sources of income together.
We are here to inspire and challenge each other to reach and exceed goals.
Each member is committed to their own success as well as the success of every member of the group.
We are committed to meeting in person or virtually for 1 hour every week.
We are present. There is no multitasking or distractions during meetings.
We are collaborative. We listen without interruption, lecturing, or judging.
We celebrate each other's successes without jealousy.
We are honest and participate by giving thoughtful feedback.
We are open and listen to different perspectives without being defensive or offering excuses.
We trust fellow members enough to share fully.
We are focused, but we also think it's important to have fun during meetings.
Yes.
We are real and authentic. This is a no BS zone. We allow ourselves to become completely aligned with each other. And the high forces, one mind, one soul, one love. Okay, we'll go to the Noble Goldman mission statement. Vicky?
So Noble Goldman International is a conscious, aware, and engaged global community of abundance and freedom creators.
Our mission is to create 1 million millionaires who are free from the time for money paradigm. We focus on creating multiple streams of income through masterminding, team building, and the effective utilization of the internet-based platforms.
The mastermind becomes an opportunity for self-mastery, where the self-transcendent shift from the me to the we to the us occurs. As congruence and engagement increases, the world's consciousness is then raised one meaningful and inspired relationship at a time. Awesome.
Disturbing my wife right now. She's looking at me like I'm crazy.
You guys share the office together?
I can tell when you have your earphones on.
Yeah.
Yes, I think one time I heard her talking like over you. But anyway.
Oh yeah. Sometimes we have meetings together. It's not very fun. We try our best, but.
Well, at least you're both working from home. It's a healthy thing.
Exactly. We get to spend all the time together, which is the whole goal. So
there
we're
you
not
go.
complaining.
Exactly. So anyway, well, thanks for joining. We got a small crowd today, which is okay. You know, it's a little intimate here.
Intimate setting.
Here's the beautiful logo, Conceive, Believe, Achievers.
So when did you come up with that, Kevin?
What's that?
The Conceive, Believe, Achievers.
How did I come up with that?
Yes.
Well, I mean, it was pretty much, you know, in the book, Earl Nightingale, and a whole host of others. I don't know if Napoleon Hill said, you know, whatever you can conceive and believe you can achieve. So when we were all put to the task to form our own mastermind group, I was like, oh God, I got to figure something out. So I kind of like that. That always rang a bell in my head, so I just figured I'd use it.
There you go. Very cool.
So
Thank
here
you.
we are, Think and Grow Rich, the subconscious mind. We're going to do about approximately 40 minutes, if not sooner. We've already did the mastermind principles and the Noble Goldman mission statement. Let's do the wins of the week at the end, only because I have 2 videos I want to show. But Vicky, if you can just read this in red, which is a clipping from the book about you've all read this book, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. So Vicky, if you can read that, I'd appreciate it.
So the subconscious mind receives and files sense impression or thoughts regardless of their nature. You may voluntarily plant in your subconscious mind any plan, thought, or purpose which you desire to translate into physical or monetary equivalent. The subconscious mind acts first of the dominating desires which have been mixed with emotional feelings such as faith.
Once I read this chapter and I thought about this and I read it over. I read every single chapter in the Think and Grow Rich book for 1 month straight. So I read the book, then I read it again, and then I took each chapter and read each chapter for a month. And I mean, this just totally blew my mind to think that we actually can control our lives by the way that we think. And to me, it was life-changing. And I've been reading the book since 2014.
Exactly. I agree with you, Kevin. Like it's amazing what the subconscious mind is actually capable of. And now that we've had more science backing behind it with a lot of the new experiments they're doing, they can actually see how thought can manipulate physical matter at this point, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, no, yeah, it definitely was a life changer to me. And, just to wrap my head around it, like I said, I had to keep reading it over and over again. I'm more of a visual type of a learner. So,
me too.
So I mean, which we'll get into that a little later. But anyway, I want to show you this video, which is from Napoleon Hill, and it's only 3 minutes and 17 seconds long. And I actually stumbled across this yesterday, and it was the first time I've seen this. Typically, from what I've seen from Napoleon Hill, a lot of his videos, because they're very old, were very machine-like type of talking. He talks like, you can see that he's reading something. But this one, I noticed, is a little bit more of the human being portion of Napoleon Hill, because it's something that I've never heard from him before. And you'll hear, and it'll be like, this guy is a human being. He's not a machine. So, but which I found to be pretty fascinating. So let me see how I could.
It's also the time, Kevin. You have to remember what year this was.
I
Things were
know,
very different. So
Absolutely. I'll try to figure that out for the next time.
The third premise,
I hear it.
any dominating idea, plan, or purpose held in the mind through repetition of thought, any dominating idea, the subconscious mind not only acts more quickly, but it acts more definitely and more positively.
Wow.
Do you agree that he was a little bit more animated this time around?
Yes, definitely. It wasn't like he was reading cue cards like you talked about previously. It's like he's an orator or orator. Like, he reminds me of Franklin Roosevelt. I have to say, the way he speaks, it's that same kind of time frame. That's how they spoke back then.
Yeah. No, I thought this was it was a good find.
Wow.
I could feel his emotion. He was more emotional, and you could definitely hear that he was in front of a crowd.
Yeah, it
He
sounded
was
like
more
he was
engaged.
standing too. He was standing and moving, and that helps to generate the.
Yeah. It was a different side of Napoleon Hill. It's the first time I've seen it, but I mean,
Plus, he looks quite young there. A lot of the other videos, he's much older, so it's very different.
I know. I noticed that because when I was
he
looking
looks like he's in his
through,
20s or something.
I was comparing the old Napoleon to that Napoleon. I'm like, is this the same person? I wasn't really sure.
Yeah.
Discovering Bob Proctor, who we all know, and not really understanding the difference between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. And I think I shared this with you, Vicky, before. Can you guys see the screen?
Yes, I've seen. Yeah, you shared this with me before.
This is the stick figure. Matthew, you've seen this, correct?
I haven't, but it's funny. I get it.
Yeah, I mean, Dr. Thurman Fleet came up with the idea that we think in pictures. And, when I read about the conscious and the subconscious mind, it's very hard for me to visualize. And I said earlier, I'm a visualize, I learned better visualizing and seeing things. So Dr. Thurman Fleet said, look, we think in pictures, so I'm going to make a picture so that we can understand and get a better understanding of how the conscious mind and the subconscious mind operates. And that's his famous stick figure. So the next video I'm going to show is Bob Proctor and his description of, or his way of explaining the conscious mind and subconscious mind. So
yeah, I almost think that green thing needs to be a little higher, though. The conscious mind has a smaller slit than the subconscious mind.
So
I also noticed how the head was so much bigger than the rest of the body.
Yeah, well, okay. So I'm going to play this. This is about 7 minutes. But I'm going to shorten it up.
The inside of the school, learning. Look back, I have spent the past 55 years asking nothing but those questions.
Getting an opportunity to see that and to learn about the stick figure and paradigms, and Bob Proctor's courses. I mean, that 13-month program, that's over $35,000, I think, or something, which is not feasible at this point in time for me. So what I did was I studied it because that little illustration or that stick figure guy helped me out tremendously. We watched the video. So I have a stack of cards on my desk here. I have flashcards, and I actually drew this thing out. As you can see, it's kind of weathered and old. But in order for me to understand it, I had to draw this out and understand that the conscious mind can only accept and reject. The conscious mind is the thinking portion of our mind, and the subconscious mind doesn't think. It just takes in whatever you put it in there. So planting the good ideas and the good thoughts in there is very crucial. Nobody teaches this in school. And why? For me, learning this in my 40s and trying to shift my mindset, and as Napoleon Hill stated, it takes time. It takes time to do this. And understanding this, and I have vision boards, based on this understanding and constantly looking at this photograph and image that I keep in front of me each and every single day, I've been able to kind of change the way that I think. I've actually changed the things that I have in my life. So what do you guys think? I mean, Matthew, you've never seen this, right? So.
No, I hadn't until just now, honestly, and it's pretty cool. I like the way you did that and filled out this. You made it a tool for yourself, and that's a great way to build that habit.
It worked, and it works for me. Did these images help you kind of understand the conscious and the subconscious mind a little easier?
I've been kind of diving into that for over a decade. So yeah, this is a cool visualization for me because it's a new one for me, which is nice. I kind of think of it like an iceberg generally in my head.
Oh, okay.
Like the top of the iceberg is the conscious mind, and then underneath is the subconscious mind. That's just the imagery that comes to my head when I think of it.
Yeah, I mean, this actually worked. This actually worked for me, and it helped me. I think I probably drew this, I don't know, maybe 10, 12 years ago. Vicky,
Nice.
Your thoughts? I mean, I know I've shared this with you quickly.
You've shared this with me before, so I'm visual also. Like, you could tell me anything, but like put it in something I can see. I just absorb it much better. So I like this. I've been focusing on this on and off, I think, probably throughout my life without realizing it. There's a lot of things, if I look back now, I'm like, oh, it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, planting the good ideas into your mindset. Now knowing it, you know, I kind of learned this in my 40s. You know, I'm 61 now, so I'm working on it. Still, it's a never-ending job. You know, we want to plant the good ideas or the good emotions into our minds. You know, in the book, Think and Grow Rich. You know, the 7 major positive emotions, and there are more than this: desire, faith, love, sex, enthusiasm, romance, and hope. You know, we always want to try to keep on those vibrations, and then they list the 7 major negative ones. And these are, I mean, there's a lot more than this, but you know, the obvious ones: fear, jealousy, hatred, revenge, greed, superstition, and anger. You know, we want to make sure that we go through our days, you know, trying to keep it all to the positive. You know, I actually have an affirmation, and you know, I don't know if you can see it. Well, I use them as bookmarks. So I do like a daily affirmation, which is my goals. You know, I have it memorized, but I use them as a bookmark to remind me to say it to myself. You know, typically that kind of helps for me. You know, the subconscious mind is the servant. It doesn't ask questions. It doesn't set goals. It simply executes your perceptions, thoughts, and beliefs into reality. Whatever we plant into our subconscious mind and nourish with repetition and emotion will one day become reality. I put a question at the bottom. It says, share a good and a bad past experience you can remember that you control by planting these ideas into your subconscious mind without even knowing how the subconscious mind works. And as I reflected on this, and I still reflect on this from time to time, there's a lot of stuff that I went through my life that I actually brought on myself. So, Vicki, quickly, you want to take a stab at this?
Sure. So a bad experience probably would be jumping too quickly into a second relationship after ending a first one. In hindsight, I realized I shouldn't have done it, not in the way I did it. Like, I don't regret meeting that person, which I ended that relationship back in the beginning of May, but I wouldn't have moved it quite as quickly as I did. So if I could, I would redo that. And I know going forward, I would approach it very differently. So yes, I get that. For good, I have a lot of good, and I plant a lot of good in my mind now. And I think with pandemic, like, I'm so focused on, not in a selfish way, but like, we're very much focused on ourselves because a lot of us are alone. I'm by myself. Like, it's me and my kids. So, and they come and go. So I have a lot of time, which is good, I think, that I can focus on myself and the things I want to do and my vision and my goals, improving myself and just recovering and healing. And for me, that's a good thing. Right. So by putting all that in every day and the repetition with my gratitude journal and all that, I've definitely noticed a difference since June, since I met David.
Noble Goldman will do this. I mean, I've noticed since I've been involved in Noble Goldman with the 90 days. I'm a big fan of them, as you probably already know, but man, that is totally changing.
I'm on day 14.
No, congrats.
Good job.
We got about 5 minutes, so Matt, why don't you go?
For me, bad. When I was younger, I was very reactionary, so it made me very angry and upset about things and how things were shaping up in my life. Little did I know how much control I could have had, and now I do have, by implanting all the good thoughts that I do. Since after my divorce, I began reading. I just never stopped reading, and it just has built my subconscious mind to some crazy thing that I'm not sure what its form is actually taking, but I'm super excited to find out.
And what about something good?
Yeah, what about,
Well, I think that's the good thing, though, is also recognizing that life is kind of a reflection, and that's a big thing for me too.
So for me, I mean, I'm going to start with the bad, and I'm going to end with the good. There are quite a few now that I reflect back that I probably kind of brought on myself without even knowing it. But in my 20s and my early 30s, I always felt kind of sorry for myself. Okay? I was looking for people to, not pity me or whatever, but, so I kind of wanted to get people's attention somehow and have them kind of love me more or whatever. But one day I always envisioned myself like being in a hospital bed, being sick, and that was the way to get attention to people. I don't know if that makes sense, but this is how my kooky mind worked back then. So in 1994, I had a slight car accident where I broke my knee, and I actually ended up in a hospital bed. And people who I haven't seen in a while were calling me, and so it kind of came true in a way, So I'm kind of relating that to something that I self-sabotage myself into my subconscious mind. So for the good experiences, I have quite a few. I mean, running my marathon was something that I envisioned, and I worked towards that. I had a vision of an Upper East Side New York City apartment, and I would repeat it to myself: light hardwood floors, white walls, sunshiny windows, marble renovated bathroom, marble like floors, subway tile dubbing, blah blah blah, the whole thing. And it actually came true. I went looking for an apartment back in 2015. As soon as I walked in, I saw it. I wanted it. So it works. It works. So those are the two things that I can think of. So, but I don't know if you guys have ever read this book, The Power of the Subconscious Mind. This is by Dr. Joseph Murphy, which is David Meyer's mentor.
Yeah, I have one of his books, but it's a different cover.
Yeah, I'm on my 7th reading, and I actually enjoy it. It keeps me on task, on track. I check myself every now and then. So I would recommend reading it if you haven't read it yet. So.
Nice.
All right, next week we're going to talk about the brain.
Yes.
The brain and the mind are two separate things.
Our machine.
Right? Right? No one's ever had a mind operation, but they've had a brain operation. So.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, we got less than a minute. I just want to thank you guys for coming on today. I hope you learned something. And
Yes.
Matthew, when are your mastermind meetings? I know I've been to Vicky's. When is yours?
I got one in a couple of weeks on Tuesday.
All right, let me know, because I would love to.
Yeah, I want to come.
It's on the events calendar in the You Too Can Be Prosperous
Okay.
I think
stuff.
it's in 2 weeks, I think, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I have all the Zoom information on the description. So.
All right, awesome. All right, guys, we're gonna clock out any minute. I wish you well. Have a blessed day, and thank you.
You too.
All right.
You guys have a good one.
Bye.